So I did not have an opportunity to watch this particular Democratic debate, but it looks like very interesting exchange took place after between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. This is video here on Politico. Let's check it out. So you see what happens there. She was shaking hands with Joe Biden, is it? Yep, Joe Biden moves him, touches his shoulder. Bernie extends his hand to shake it with hers. She recoils, doesn't. Looks like she is um, arguing with him about something pretty impassionedly. Tom Steyer gets caught in the middle. Shakes Buttigieg's hand but won't shake Bernie Sanders. Wow. So there you go. That's the title of this article. Warren appears to rebuff Sanders' handshake amid sexism feud. Who knows if it was about that or about something else? We'll see. I mean, she said she wasn't going to comment anymore on it, so why would she be then going after Bernie about it? I don't know. The buzziest moment of Tuesday night's Democratic debate didn't happen until after it was over. As candidates exchanged pleasantries and handshakes on stage, Elizabeth Warren approached Bernie Sanders, who stretched out his hand for her to shake, but Warren either didn't see him or rebuffed him, and a tense exchange followed. Warren gestured with her right hand, then clasped both hands together while addressing a seemingly surprised Sanders. No, Bernie definitely saw that because he saw that she wasn't going to extend her hand and shake his, so he took his back at that point. Warren kept speaking to Sanders, who nodded, then put his hand up as if to stop her. Both spoke as Tom Steyer approached the pair. Then Sanders seemed to offer a few sentences before both turned their backs. Sanders a split second before Warren and walked away. Neither campaign immediately spoke about what was said. Asked about the moment, Steyer said he had no knowledge of the apparent skirmish. Look, I don't know what they were saying, he said, and whatever they were going on between each other was trying to get out of the way as fast as possible. What do you think? Do you think either of their campaigns or either Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders will talk about what was said there? I mean, if it was about the supposed sexism that Bernie was exhibiting, at least according to Warren and her team, I guess she wouldn't talk about that if that's what it was about, right? Because that's what she said. She's not going to talk about it anymore. The counter came after the two progressive stalwarts seemed to try to de-escalate hostilities during the 2-hour debate. Instead, their fleeting encounter appeared to revive tensions between the two longtime friends, sparking intense interest in what was said when their mics were shut off. Yeah, heading into this is the context that really puts this in perspective. Heading into the debate, the two had clashed over differing recollections of a 2018 meeting between them to discuss the possibility of them both running for president. Warren stood by a CNN report that Sanders told her he didn't think a woman could defeat Donald Trump. Sanders denied that version of their conversation. News of the meeting emerged after Politico reported last week that Sanders' campaign had dispatched volunteers to attack Warren's electability. The opening salvo that breached a non-aggression pact between the two. And this is not super surprising from Politico, but this is, again, printing propaganda and not any type of factual reporting because, Bernie's campaign didn't dispatch anybody to attack Elizabeth Warren or her electability, but even let's say if they did, isn't that part of the primary process is to point out why your record and your policy positions are better than the candidates that you're running against, and that you have a better chance of getting elected. I think those are super important things to point out. So even if Sanders' campaign had dispatched volunteers to attack Warren's electability, if it was on merits and policy, then yeah, I think those things, should rightly be pointed out. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on this because this is what Donald Trump and maybe some of the media want. He said, "Anybody who knows me knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman cannot be president of the United States." Frankly, I mean, I tend to take Bernie's side of the story, his version of the events to what was said during that meeting he had with Elizabeth Warren back in December of was it 2018. There's videos of him decades ago in the 80s saying how more women need to run for office, hold office, including the presidency, including, little kids, little girls to, grow up and run for office. And, he encouraged Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016 when she declined, because I think she thought maybe she was getting some type of cabinet position in a Clinton administration. When she declined to run against Clinton, then Sanders decided that he had to at that point. So there's no way do I believe that Bernie Sanders told Elizabeth Warren that he thought a woman couldn't be president. What I think he said, and how he explained, is that he explained, Trump and the Republicans would use, sexist and misogynistic messages and strategies in order to try to defeat a woman candidate. But that's not to say a woman couldn't and shouldn't be president. Let's see. And then, Sanders added that he initially deferred to Warren to run in 2015, and that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million votes after defeating him in the Democratic primary. How could anybody in a million years not believe that a woman could become president of the United States, he asked. If any of the women on this stage or any of the men on this stage win the nomination, I hope that's not the case. I hope it's me, but if they do, I will do everything in my power to make sure that they are elected in order to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of our country. And that's one of Bernie's, detriments to from some people's perspective, is his willingness to get behind whatever Democrat gets the nomination in order to prevent a bigger evil from continuing to take place, that in his mind being the Trump presidency. Because the amount of rallies and work he did to get Hillary elected was by far and away a lot more than what Hillary did to help Obama get elected once Obama defeated her back in 2008. Asked what she thought when Sanders made his comments to her in 2018, Warren said she disagreed. What the fuck is going on here, political? Confirmed again her versions of what took place, but she declined to use her time to dig into the politics, never mind the apparent sexism of such a statement. That's the interesting part of it. If you're just going to go out there and make this hugely, derogatory statement and attribute it towards Bernie Sanders, then you should be able to back it up, and not just sweep it under the rug. It's a huge story. People are going to want to ask you about it. To attack Bernie on his character in such a way at such a time, a day before the debates, a couple of weeks before the first caucus in Iowa. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I gotta go get that food. What do you think? Bernie being snubbed by Elizabeth Warren with the with the no handshake after the debate stage. Even though she's willing to shake hands with Joe Biden, he voted for the Iraq War. He's willing to cut Social Security, Medicaid, all that stuff. I mean, he talked about working with segregationists on fighting, desegregating, the school system. And, he shaked Pete Buttigieg's hand, who never met a, wealthy donor or donation that he did not like, and, the wine caves of the top 0.1%. But she's not going to shake Bernie's hand, a dude that stood for human rights, workers' rights, the climate, healthcare, the environment, fighting oppression back in, the civil rights area up until now. I mean, it's quite the claim. It's quite the claim. And what's up with the snub, Elizabeth Warren?
About the 100% thing.
I will. What do you think? Will either candidate come out and say what was said during that exchange? Will Elizabeth Warren say why she snubbed Bernie and didn't shake his hand? And Kyle Kalinske, I saw it on Twitter, made the tweet saying that maybe there's a possibility that Warren, after dropping on the poll substantially, came up with some type of deal with Joe Biden, maybe VP, maybe another member of a potential Biden administration, if she takes some of these kind of cheap shots at Bernie Sanders and the Sanders campaign. Maybe that's why. Who knows? But very interesting. And all biases aside, just looking at it through a more objective lens, I would just tend to believe Bernie Sanders. I just think he's a more trusting individual, and he's always been very forthright and honest and steadfast with his his positions and his policies and the things he advocates for and believes in. And just can't say the same thing with Elizabeth Warren. It's not to say she's a bad person or anything like that. It's just they're two different people. They're two different candidates, and it's one of the reasons I support Bernie. Is he's so committed to things like Medicare for all, free college, the Green New Deal, all these type of things, and I don't have any concern about him getting in office and not fighting from day one for those super important things that we desperately need. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment sections down below, and I think we only need 1 or 2 more subscribers, and then we'll be at 100, and we'll take a polar plunge. And it's currently winter here, so
it's not going to be fun.
Quite chilly, and we record it on the GoPro and then share it with you. So please subscribe if you haven't. Peace.
Bye.